Hi, this is Joe Pesci, and I would like to be serious with you for a moment to talk to you about a little-known yet devastating disease. It's called Tourette's syndrome. Many people suffering from this affliction aren't even fucking aware of it. It can happen at almost any fucking time. This is one big fucking problem over here, and I'm trying to make you fucking assholes aware of it. What the fuck are you laughing at over there? Look at that guy over there, he's laughing. You think this is fucking funny? What, do you think of being fucking funny over here? What the fuck is so fucking funny over here? Did I say something to amuse you? Look at this fucking guy laughing over here. All right.
Come on, Joe.
What's wrong with
That's
you?
not right.
What'd you do that
Come
for?
on. You're gonna have to bury him. I'm not burying him this
That's
time.
fine.
Can't you take a joke?
Not the first fucking time I had to bury somebody.
All right, welcome back to my little program, the Ranting Gringo, and today we're going to be talking about flying, something I'm not a big fan of, but apparently it's a necessary evil that you got to do sometimes, especially when you're from the States or from out of Chile, but not so much in South America. You can get around so in South America without, getting into too much trouble. I don't think it's so bad, but like to go up to Bolivia or across the border to Argentina, or I actually think it's very good to travel by bus, even here in Chile. I do like it. It's a long bus ride to some places. I mean, Chile is a big country, long country, and so it's a little difficult to get to places very fast, unless you're flying, which I'm not a big fan of. And so I wanted to take a few moments to talk about flying. And while I'm on the subject, listen, I won't say the name of the airline, but okay, so let's just say it's an airline that flies in the sky, if you know what I mean. So I don't want to give it away too much, but the pilots actually were from the United States, I suppose. I mean, they had no accent of being from a Latin country. That was kind of odd, but the first officer actually comes on, and he's like, well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard Air Turbulence Flight 321, boom, to Puerto Montt, blah 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 blah, and so. I'm not exactly, at ease. I don't like flying at all. I literally have to hold the seat, like as if that's gonna somehow, keep me safe or something, And so, and there's always that one guy that's got to get up and he's got to go to the bathroom because it's like the coolest place on the airplane. It's so stupid. And so, I just wish that person would sit down because I'm like, checking him out, I'm looking at him, 0 dark 30. And so I'm like thinking, I just want to sit down, get to where I'm going fast and no more problems. So we're flying. By the way, that airplane bathroom door, that's like a little strip. At first I didn't even realize that was a door. The first time I went flying when I was a kid, it was just a little strip. I was like, what is that? Oh, it's the door. Well, what fat bastard's going to fit in there? It's not meant for fat bastards, So, okay, well, I go back and sit in my seat. Of course, at that time I was a kid. But they still have the same small door. It's so stupid. I mean, is it big enough for normal people to get through the door?
No.
It's no, definitely not. So I don't understand. They're so tight-fisted with the space on airplanes. So anyway, I'm sitting on the plane, and let me tell you a little story. This story is going to get a little dirty, so get ready. So I don't want anybody, getting a little offended because this story is a little dirty. I don't want anybody getting offended. So listen, I'm sitting there, and the captain or first officer or whatever, is flying this, flying bus, comes on, and he's like, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. He first gave it in Spanish, obviously. and then he gave it in English. That was because there was a lot of people that were speaking English. There were tourists on the plane. And he comes on, says it in Spanish, but then he says it in English. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, blah, blah, blah. And I guess, he said it in like broken Spanish, because then I realized, that's why I realized he was like from probably the States. So he gave the speech, good afternoon, we're going to be flying to Puerto Montt, and enjoy the flight, and blah, 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 blah. And then, he forgot to disengage the microphone for the speaker. And so now the whole cabin can hear this guy speaking. And so we're listening to him, and nobody does anything. The flight attendants are like giving out their cheap ass whatever they're giving out, for that kind of flight food. I don't know what it is. And all we hear is like, yeah, John, I tell you what, when we get into Puerto Montt, and here's where it gets dirty, okay? Guide the kids. He goes, honest to God, he says, when we get into Puerto Montt, I'm going to need a cup of coffee and a BJ from my girlfriend. And everybody was like, oh my God, Jesus, oh yeah. And the flight attendant, this girl, she just goes running up, she's running, fast as lightning to the cockpit. And some old man just blurts out, don't forget the coffee. So that was an interesting little story that happened to me. I thought it was kind of cute. Anyway, but I'm not a real fan of flying. But of course, it's cheaper than flying or taking the bus, and it's less time. You could actually fly from Santiago to, let's say, Puerto Montt in 2 hours. Takes you like 12 hours on bus, and it's like almost double the price on bus. Because if you want to get like a normal, comfortable, seat on a bus, like because the bus companies, they're you got to be careful with them. They have these like categories of seats. They go like the worst one is like tourist class. Then they go to semi-cama, which is like almost a bed. And let me tell you, folks, it's nowhere near a bed. Forget it. So it's like it reclines about as much as like a bar stool. So, and then they got cama, which is bed, which is, again, it's about as a bed as like a small coffin. So it's, forget it. And then you get cama deluxe, and that's basically where it actually reclines all the way. So, but still, that's going to run you like almost 50,000 pesos. That's like almost $120. And that's just to go. Just to go. That's like the worst. So, is it worth going, on a bus?
No.
No, definitely not. I would definitely take the plane, even though I don't like flying. So, when you... And flying is, everybody thinks it's like this great thing in the world. It's so cool. It's so chic. Whatever. I don't like flying. But, you got to hand it to the Chilean people. There hasn't been any real commercial aviation crashes. Really. If you take, there has been some small charter flights. I'm talking like private planes that have crashed, most notably the one that killed one of those TV personalities about 5 years ago. That one guy that was working for TVM, that was just a military flight that they were going out to the Fernandez Islands or something like that. So that crashed, and that was a bad thing, and that was a big thing. But not a real commercial flight. I'm talking like a LATAM, American Airlines, Sky, one of those, guys. And I'm surprised, the Law airline, I'm surprised that even gets off the ground. I can't believe that they haven't had any crashes or anything. There is absolutely, no, they call it law, like Latin American wings. But let me tell you, there is no law or order in that airline. Let me tell you, because they still got their big jets over there parked in the airport, because they're not allowing them to leave, because they're like in debt with like a bunch of people too. So I don't like flying. I do remember that they did have one plane crash that was famous, but it wasn't actually in Chile. You remember that plane that crashed years ago up in the mountains back in 72 or 73? The one where everyone started eating the dead, where they made that movie Alive about. I always wanted to meet that guy, Nando Paradero. He was the leader of the group. It was of the rugby team that was supposed to come to Chile, blah, blah. They crashed in the mountains, and they had a little buffet up there. So, I'm not knocking him, but he seemed like a cool person. I mean, I saw him on National Geographic, and he spoke English pretty good. And he looks like a cool person to have a beer with, or maybe invite to a barbecue, or maybe just a beer. maybe not that. I mean, can you imagine? Can you imagine that poor bastard? Him being invited to a barbecue, and then he starts eating the ribs, and everybody's looking at him like, hey, they're trying to like not look at him. So they're like, is that good ribs? Does it taste like chicken? Poor guy. Anyway, I don't know how much time I have left on this one. I just wanted to bitch and moan about flying. I don't like flying at all. If you like flying, tell me, and tell me why. Tell me the one good thing about flying, because I don't like it. Especially when you have to wait in line, and the airlines are really tight-fisted about what you can bring on the airline these days. There was a story this morning. You won't believe this. There was a story this morning in the States. I got the hiccups really bad, by the way. That there was two unaccompanied kids traveling, and they actually didn't tell the parents that the flight was diverted from. It was originally going from St. Louis to Orlando, but it was diverted to Atlanta due to weather. It's always due to weather, right? So it's bullshit. So they diverted it to Atlanta, but they didn't tell the parents. And then one of the people that worked for the airline, I think it was called Frontier Airlines, they took the kids and put them in a hotel room and with other kids, because there was other kids that were unaccompanied, and didn't tell them till the morning. Of course, the airline blatantly lied and said, "Yeah, we were always in contact with the parents, and we always told them, exactly what was going on and all that kind of stuff. We were not keeping them in the dark at all." That's a bunch of bullshit. Let me tell you, the airlines, they are the worst companies, except for bankers. But airlines, I'm not a fan of airlines at all. I hate them. What Donald thinks about airlines, right?
You're fired.
Yeah, basically, I would do the same thing. I can't stand them. All right, well, I got to get out of here. Maybe I'll do another one later. I got to be, I can only get like 15 minutes of these things, so we'll see what happens. All right, see you later, guys. Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye.